sure that he can't have an early impact, can't link up with Meteor early on. Meanwhile, BLG, they are once again banning away the Gnar and Renekton, so it's kind of funny, but this draft is once again setting up for the same Camille top lane pick, which didn't work out very well last time. I wonder if they will throw BiuBiu a bone and actually just let him last pick. I feel like it's a lot safer if most of your games ride on BiuBiu's performances to just save the red side last pick for him.
Yeah, it feels like they have banned for that again, like rinse and repeat with the bans from BLG, but whether or not they actually commit to the Camille pick early and blind will be the question. Yep. I've got a feeling that that's not going to be the way this time. Lwx goes once again with this Kaisa. This has kind of been Lwx's bread and butter pick this split, and it might just be answered by Tristana on the side of AB.
Aiming actually going for the Vayne. Ooh, spicy. Very interesting. This is one of those old matchups against the Kaisa where you actually outrange the Kaisa and you can take her 1v1s. So it's still not a matchup you're expected to win out early, especially with the Hail of Blades Kaisa and her early burst damage. It's still very strong, but you know, post 6, the support can basically never leave the lane. You see Kaisa, you pop the ultimate, you can chase her down. It's one of the few AD carries that has a pretty good 1v1 against Kaisa.
Yeah, we'll see if Aiming finds those opportunities, though. That'll be the big question, is if they find the moment where Aiming has a window onto Lwx. But the Kaisa as well. Like, Lwx and Crisp have been exceptionally good in the laning phase, but you expect Crisp to be roaming a reasonable amount. So maybe there'll be windows for Aiming. The Kassadin panned away from Doinb, not something I would necessarily would have expected him to be picking up here, but perhaps to do with the pickup that BLG want to go for themselves.
I remember the tank Kassadin, the 0 AP until 3rd item Kassadin coming out from Doinb. That used to be really fun. Righteous Glory and Iceborne Gauntlet Kassadin that just sits on you. But you know, they're not gonna let him get this one this game. I don't think he actually has picked Kassadin this split. Just checking on his champion pool so far.
No, I don't believe so.
No, there's only one.
Oh no,
game.
he has one time. Yeah, 100% win rate.
You don't want to ruin that record going into that. BLG, I think they're still looking for a scrappier composition, but this time with a little bit more late game scaling as well. Vayne is one of those hyper carries that if she gets going can snowball picks off quite well. But BLG, they still need other picks to start the engages. I feel like they need a lot of different tools going into this one. And surprisingly enough, they banned the Renekton, they banned the Gnar, and they go for Sion. That for me, it's kind of weird. Essentially, it just is signaling that Renekton and the Rumble ban were more for Doinb rather than for the top lane. And FPX this time around, they actually are just going to go for the same picks, trying to maintain the lane priority and let Tian do the job on the Hecarim.
Yeah, literally the only difference in the draft from FPX is the support, because Jwei literally took the Rell away from them. Had they been able to have access to that Rell, I think they would have just gone for that as well. So FPX literally saying, look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is what worked for us last game. We're going to do the same thing again. Zeka goes for the Ryze in that mid lane for himself. So it'll be an interesting matchup. A lot of scaling available out of those mid lanes, but also some cool plays that you can see out of both Ryze and Viktor. So maybe there's some early aggression there.
I like BLG's composition a lot this time. They don't have to rely on BiuBiu's lane. It's not, it's not a draft where if you lose early, you can't come back. And then it still has a lot of that pick potential. This is what they're best at orchestrating. If they find the first kill, you can clean up so well with Vayne and Ryze. And both of these champions essentially have a sort of mini resets. You can spread the spell flux on Ryze if you get your first kill, and on Vayne, it will actually further your final hour timer. So I like this draft. It's a draft where there's comeback potential, there's late game scaling, you can outmaneuver people by trying to catch them out. There's always comeback. So I really like this draft from BLG. On the other,
BLG can fight back versus the Jayce. I'm not sure Sion can, so we'll see. The question for me is, what does Meteor do? How does Meteor play this early game out? His ping pong doubles partner of BiuBiu will be struggling in that top lane. Does he come to the rescue, put on his cape, and soar up to the top lane to save his top laner? But we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to see what Meteor does. He's going to be starting up on the top side, though, so the odds are pathing down towards his bot lane.
We have seen the strengths about Udyr is you do actually clear a jungle a little bit faster than Hecarim. Usually on the level 4 gank, we do see Udyrs come out into the lane faster. So maybe that's something that he will try to utilize and try to catch Nuguri off guard. But in the same time, I feel like FPX will actually be playing a very slow early game. I don't expect them to try and push the action much. This is just about keeping the waves shoved and making sure that, you know, Zeka can't make any crazy plays. I do expect this game to heat up much later. It's going to be sort of that 25-minute game where people are starting to make map plays. We're going to be taking a look at the runes here. PTA coming in for Vayne. This is sort of your duelist rune coming in. Really good when you have jungle attention. It also increases your jungle damage by 12%. So, you know, there's potential pathway for Amy to set up Meteor into this bottom side.
Yeah, that's the big thing that I think a lot of people forget about the press of the attack is that you actually amplify your whole team's damage as well. So it can be very, very valuable, but also just when you already have a 3-hit passive, press the attack already feels amazing, right? It already feels like a fantastic route to go for. Vayne wants to be trading in 3-hit trades, so the press the attack just works beautifully with that.
And I do want to see what aiming actually builds for. In the start of the split, we saw Jomon go for the Rage Blade build, but for most of the Vaynes, they've actually just stuck onto just a pure crit build. You get your Phantom Dancer, you make sure you can get Silver Bolts down as fast as possible, and you just try to roll with that one. Now Tian coming in.
Zeka already forced a flash. Tian couldn't quite get the knockback onto Zeka there. And that's one of the dicey gags as Hecarim. If you click just a split second too early, you dive under that tower instead of pulling them back. So you misplay that ever so slightly, it can go horribly wrong. So Zeka, though, forced the flash. It's a nice little advantage now for Doinb in the mid lane.
Yeah, that's the thing about Hecarim. You know, the difference between a good and bad Hecarim is really about using Devastating Charge. You get the movement speed for 4 seconds, but it charges up to 3. So you want the maximum amount of movement speed, and you basically have to look into the future for 3 seconds to know where people will be, how they will react. And for that one, I think Tian actually still gets the job done. Gets a good chunk of damage onto Zeka. It's going to mess up sort of his back here. We do see a lot of these just early backs coming in from Ryze. He does go with the tier start here, and it will force a rather early teleport coming in.
Yep, early teleport back into the lane from Zeka. Does have the tier and a Sapphire Crystal as well, but it's going to be a little bit rough for him because Doinb still has a corrupting potion as well. He can just continue to chug that up as he shoves the wave in and should be able to get himself a pretty favorable recall. There's Tian up on the top side here. Already got that Scuttle Crab, but Nuguri knows that this isn't going to be happening. Jungler recalls and we'll just be able to shove the wave under.
Yeah, looking at this recall, it's actually not that bad for Zeka. I was thinking that maybe he would even miss it, but you know, he still gets a tier on time, still going to start the stacking up. So it's mainly just about the potential for getting ganked, and you can see Doinb still holding onto this lane very close to his own tower. It's very uncomfortable for Zeka, and he's going to have to go on warding missions immediately.
Yeah, we need to get some vision down. Look where Nuguri is, though. Pretty far up the lane. You can see Zeka moving a little bit. I wasn't sure if, because Meteor's up there already, maybe they could try and make a play onto Nuguri, but they're going to back away at least for now. And this is a much more muted early game, but my eyes keep drifting to Tian on the minimap. What is he going to do next? Because game number 1 was all about Tian setting the pace here. He has his boots for himself. My question is, how aggressive is he going to be? There's some on-the-way pings down towards that bottom lane, but the bot scuttle should spot Tian out if he does walk past that. Didn't go over it just yet. Maybe makes a move towards mid lane.
You can already see him going in onto that one, but this time around Meteor is actually fairly close. We are waiting for the teleport to come back, and Zeka greeds trying to get that damage in.
Very nicely played here from Tian. Could be the kill, and there's first blood. That was orchestrated from FPX. He waits in the river brush, the TP comes in, then he goes for the gank. Very nice.
Yeah, that was a little bit greedy from Zeka as he walks back without the flash. Now Meteor trying to get something back.
And time to make a play towards the bot side. Lwx in trouble here, stunned up. The 3-stack comes through with the Phoenix stance with the amplified damage we talked about. Just blows Lwx up.
Lwx did not expect that. He stood there with the flash and heal in hand, and he just goes straight back into the fountain. That's the power of the silver bolts coming out here, and the amplified damage from the PTA like we were talking about. It's gonna snowball into an early Drake coming in from Meteor. And, you know, they are really off to the stands. We have seen this lane work out before. Uzi loved this sort of matchup. And once you hit level 6 and you have a long lane against the Kaisa, there's almost nothing the Kaisa can do. Kaisa's actually very bad at kiting away from aggressive lanes.
BiuBiu in a bit of trouble here. Tian moving for the dive. Doinb over the wall as well. BiuBiu is alone, not level 6 just yet either, as he's knocked back, will be stunned up. He doesn't get to play in this one. Zeka? Now the answer from Zeka, but he's 1v3. I don't think this was the play, my friend. Nuguri trying to escape. BiuBiu can't answer either. Oh, it's all gone wrong for the solo lane as a BLG.
Oh, that's just kind of painful to see.
They broke Clement.
I feel like Zeka has watched those zombie movies where all the zombies can run. And he thought that BiuBiu was going to be one of those running zombies. But he was not that fast. There was way too much faith in BiuBiu to try and catch up to that play. That was just weird from Zeka. And we can see the FPX game plan forming already. Tian is going to first stop, gank that mid lane over and over again. Make sure Doinb has that roam potential. And they're just going to close in on all the side lanes like they did in the past.
Yeah, it's Zeka, he's playing competitive Left 4 Dead right now. And, you know, when you're on the zombie side, you're hoping that your mate respawns as a hunter or a smoker. He came back as a boomer. It's a disaster. All boomers are idiots. We all know that. You know, it doesn't work out for BLG in the end. Bit of a weird analogy, but let's just run with it, guys. Let's just run with it for now. 3-1 on the scoreboard, and FPX once again find themselves a huge advantage. Tian's on a ward, but still gets the big chink.
Yeah, I can't believe that analogy still works, even though it worked back in high school. So, you know, some things never really change, and BiuBiu getting a good exchange.
Ooh, this is nice onto Nuguri. Does he have kill threat is the question. Knocked away. And unfortunately for him, he has picked Sion. So, you know, even if you get the perfect combo, you still can't really threaten anything.
Still a good play for him. Nuguri's going to try and heal up as he has the Eclipse. And we're going to see a 4v2 into the bottom side developing already. This is something that's really good about FPX's bottom lane, is that they do tend to back out just in time. This is kind of their bread and butter play, and once they know that Tian's on the other side of the map, they're not going to give any opportunity to BLG.
Yeah, nice little W there. Aiming blocks it to deny the CS from Lwx. Meteor's making the play. Crisp just going to headbutt him out as Meteor comes in. Crisp is not level 6 just yet. This was greedy from FPX. Meteor more than happy to punish. And Lwx with the question marks. He doesn't know what's going on anymore. He's lost control of his life.
True, that's really sad from Lwx. In the meantime, BLG trying to find something back into the top lane. And they will get the full tower here, so it's kind of a forced trade from BLG. They have to try to strip this one as fast as possible, but this bot lane doesn't actually have a lot of wave clear, so should still be FPX winning out on this one. They could have done it a little bit better by keeping Crisp alive, but overall the trade still goes through and they should still be in the advantage.
Yeah, so BLG though do find something, right? They got a bunch of plates onto aiming. Aiming having that cash injection early on in the game when you're playing something like the Vayne is a huge window for the side of BLG. But we're talking about in game one, how aiming has been a little disappointing across the course of the split and the team not really being able to have him on hyper carries. Well, Vayne is a hyper carry. Yes. This is his opportunity to strut his stuff on the Rift for us and show us what this guy's made.
I'm really waiting for that first team fight. There's actually a lot of good targets for BLG to just take down. Nuguri is a good target, Doinb is a juicy target. These are champions with not a lot of mobility, and you can force that unstoppable onslaught right onto their doorstep, get something going. So I think for the next team fights, the way FPX have to play this is actually, in terms of execution, I think it's harder than what BLG has to do. I feel like FPX, they need to play with the wave clear, and they need to get actually some poke down with the Death Ray, with the Shackle Mask combo before BLG goes all in on their composition.
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be a tough one to execute, but at the same time, they do have a pretty significant gold lead already, 2,000 in their favor, which, you know, by last game standard isn't much, but in the grand scheme of League of Legends, 2,000 gold lead at 10 minutes is pretty good. So if you base it on real standards, it's a good start for FPX. First Drake went the way of BLG, though. The second one up in 15 seconds. Looks like FPX are the team that should have advantage on this one. I wasn't sure if the game would crash then. Doinb, Tian, and Zeka were all stood exactly still. I thought everything had lagged out. They were just chilling. They were just chilling for a second.
That's what was happening. Now, BiuBiu actually has a pretty difficult pathway into the Drake fight. And I was kind of surprised that they would be rotating this late into this fight. This is one of those fights where BLG, if they take it front to back, they actually have a pretty decent chance at winning it out. But they rotate far, far too late into this one. Mainly BiuBiu just was stuck in lane, so they have to give over the dragon. A little bit unexpected. Nuguri caught out there.
Ooh, there's the root coming out from Zeka. Can they finish it? Nuguri all-ins! He goes at them, and he gets away with it. The phase rush, you just all in to get the move speed. He's a genius.
That was so smart. Goes over the wall, puts the ability down, and runs away from Sion at the same time. But now Tian might be in trouble.
Yeah, also Shadow's going to be used aggressively. They just go in. FPX doesn't know how to retreat, and they might just win the fight off the back of it. Doinb on the chase down now, trying to finish off Jwei. The stun is there. The death ray finishes a kill. FPX have no fear. BiuBiu now trying to escape. Chris is on the hunt. He's not going to go for the dash.
Really insane coming in from Tian, knowing that he wasn't going to die there, and actually allows FPX to take away the objective. Plus, they're getting a gank onto bot.
Yeah.
One more shot.
Aiming. Oh, actually, wait, what? Aiming turns it around. Tian just goes down, gives over a bounty into the hands of Vayne. That is the worst possible target to give your bounty to.
Goes a little bit too far forward on that one. Wasn't really necessary given the fact that they were just going to strip bot lane for tower plates. So a bit over aggressive, but we're going to watch that play again. This is after BLG has already expended some of their cooldowns to try to get the pink onto Nuguri, and Tank goes back in and brings on Meteor super low. They nearly find the kill with the shock blast, and Doinb isn't touched through all of that. This is sort of FPX's advantage in the fights. They do have superior range, so if they're able to just dodge out on the initial crowd control and then just fight towards BLG, there's actually not a lot BLG can do to find the backline. But now this Jayce pick, as we have mentioned, is going to have a hard time.
Oh, good flash though. Zeka arriving as Tian comes to play distraction. The root comes out from the rune prison, and Tian cannot save Nuguri on this one. A good pickup for BLG as Doinb arrives on the top side himself. Meantime, looks like maybe a 2v2 on the bot side, but I think BLG just gonna back up.
Yeah, still aiming, having a pretty big lead here. He has the boots 2 advantage plus an extra attack speed item in the short sword. So really FPX is not going to be able to look for this one. Once they push it in, aiming is going to be able to use his superior attack range to just whittle Lwx down. So I think this is just a really good play from BLG. They draw members onto the top side. They're able to continuously snowball onto this bottom at the same time, and it's just a matter of time before BLG get this one.
Yeah, really nicely done, and this is good to see BLG with a bit more of a controlled early game, having some plays themselves, not just falling completely behind, and being able to answer what Tian is bringing to the table at the early stages of this game. Does feel like game one, obviously, there was a few things went awry right at the very start, and it kind of just ran way out of control real quick. This feels like a much better start to game number 2. There's Meteor, clear a little bit of vision, but his control ward will be cleared as well by Doom.
I'm not gonna lie, but I've been saying this the entire time for the back half of the split. Just let BiuBiu play something like a Hecarim. Put him on a Sion, forget about him. Don't bet your life savings on BiuBiu's laning performance. That's a terrible investment. We've seen the returns on it, and it's a really crazy graph. So I do like that in this sort of a draft, the main benefactor will be aiming. He gets a lot more room to work with. He actually has a decent front line. And I think most AD carries prefer to be playing in front-to-back compositions rather than pick comps.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely correct on that one. Especially if you're playing something like the Vayne. It's perfect. You get to just free fire, nobody can get onto you. It's really fantastic to play. And FPX, in the meantime at least, will grab themselves a Herald. Aiming is definitely the guy you got to watch in this game though, because I feel like for BLG, as you rightly say, really great front-to-back composition. You even have Zeka on this Ryze that can kind of just go machine gun mode in those team fights if he can position correctly. But FPX, in the meantime, will be able to grab themselves a tower in this mid lane, be able to extend their goal lead ever so slightly. So it's just over 3,000 now. So even though BLG are doing a good job to temper the aggression, they are still slowly but surely falling further and further behind. It's just aiming that is ahead in gold across the team right now.
Yeah, he's going to be the big one here, and I actually don't mind BLG taking this slow. I feel like their composition, it's not as clean cut as I feel like previous games, but especially at this point on aiming, he does very well into the Kaisa. If you Killer Instincts onto the backline, he can just pop Final Hour, and you can't even trace him. So it's going to be very hard for Kaisa to make the same impact as Vayne can in sort of the team fights. And this time with BLG grouping up first, controlling the ramp, I don't think FPX can actually steal this one away. They have to go for like over the wall sort of steal scenarios, but they don't really want to entertain the fight.
Not just yet. 2 Drakes now for BLG as they grab themselves the Ocean Drake. And they'll start to stack those up, which when you're playing a composition that wants to play towards the late game, getting those Drakes really can help with that as a win condition. It can stop FPX being able to snowball the lead. Engage comes through. Everything slammed down, but nobody really getting low on FPX just yet. There's not really much damage as Chris flashes forward for the double knockup. It's Jwei to go down. Zeka has only just arrived on the play. BiuBiu falls. And I feel like that was a little overzealous from BLG. I feel like they kind of just ran in without their whole team.
Yeah, I wonder where Zeka tried to come in from. He was pushing the bot lane just then, and then BLG went in with essentially only 1 damage dealer. So they really got nothing done. They lost their support and their tower and the top side now that it's going close to the Baron. So I just want to take a look at Zeka's positioning once more. When he was, when the rest of the team was initiating that play, it just didn't look like they were on the same page.
Yeah, his Realm Warp is on cooldown, so I wonder if he was trying to Realm Warp into the fight. And
he did Realm Warp in, but it was way too late, and it was really far away.
I'm not sure. Maybe we'll get a replay. Here we go.
Okay.
Let's take another
Zeka
look.
is still in
he's
river.
All the way in bot lane.
Oh, that's just kind of sad to see.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that one. That's maybe don't force a 4v5. I guess is the conclusion that we can draw from this one.
FPX were in full vision. It wasn't like someone was hiding on FPX. They knew the full 5-man was there. They just tried to go in 4v5. So kind of an interesting move right there. Definitely doesn't pan out for them. And
what are you meant to say as a commentator in this kind of situation where it's like BLG chose this? They knew the stakes. They knew what was happening. They knew the numbers disadvantage. They just went in. Like,
my guess was that BLG were hoping on a pick on Doinb. I think that was their goal, but they ran into the front line, and Chris was in perfect position. Like, if you can intercept Sion, there's not a whole lot he does afterwards. He doesn't have the chase potential without Onslaught of Shadows. Well, not Onslaught of Shadows, without the Unstoppable Onslaught. But Zeka now, he's in position.
Yeah, Zeka, yeah, he's trying to make a flank play, but he's flanked himself. He's gone down now. 2 scuffed plays from Zeka in a row, and now FPX can capitalize with a fight as well. Straight onto aiming. He's the late game carry, but it ain't the late game just yet. 4 kills for FPX, and BLG have fallen apart before our very eyes. FPX can run into the base.
Oh, my head's spinning after this one. I feel like BLG have a really good team comp, but it's just the execution that's throwing them so far off. Zeka trying to hide there. They had vision, but I feel like they underestimated how fast FPX could actually collapse on that one. Oh.
The inhib survives again. They just allow it so that there's no extra gold for the enemy. That's the second time today now. It's brutal to see.
It really is. So we're going to get a replay of that play coming in, and I just want to see the path that FPX took. Kind of surprised Zeka as he was hiding there. He actually teleported and was spotted out immediately. There was no element of surprise. Zeka thought he would actually be fine just waiting there, but you can spot the teleports like that.
Yeah, I mean, they are visible. They're a 3-man fear into the team as well. I mean, the rest of the fight is just like, hey, FPX, we outnumber you, and we have a gold lead. So, BLG, I don't know why you're here. I don't know, man. I've completely lost it in this cast at this point. BLG, this is a pretty disappointing performance. This is their last game of the split. this is the way that they're going out of the split, and it's a bit of an unfortunate one. After game 1 was an absolute domination coming out from FPX, and game 2 has been so much closer until the last couple of plays where BLG just threw themselves at FPX face first in situations where they don't have advantages.
And
it doesn't make
any
any sense.
out here. Nice.
No. It's back to the Olympics. We've got a foot race up in the top lane. Now onto the Baron, go FPX. And, you know, BLG are here. Maybe we'll get a team fight. Actually, Zeka is miles away once again. He's over at mid lane. Can Realm Warp in, though? This Baron, I think, is just going to be taken here. Jwei goes in, but he's completely alone. Just gets burst down. Now Meteor's next one on the chopping block. And it's another easy couple of kills. There goes Tian, the killer instinct from Lwx as well. And you know what? BiuBiu's going to scream cowards as he flees in the opposite direction. Zeka finds himself alone. Does find the double root. Nice little combo there from him, but it's not going to matter in the grand scheme of this game. I think this one might be over, Mr. Chu.
It definitely looks like it. I appreciate BLG's attempt to try to get that going, but they go in a little bit too late and a little bit too half-heartedly. BiuBiu doesn't follow. Jwei dies first, and I love that decimating smash trying to zone for his AD carry, and then he just gallops on, gets galloped on, and the killer instinct follows. So really well played by FPX. Honestly, BLG just, they need to make up their minds on what they want to do in these team fights and actually just stick to one game plan. So far, it's been multiple different threads running from BLG, and they just don't seem to be able to all be on the same page at the same time.
Yeah, it's been a rough final game for BLG. I feel like a few of these players are maybe just looking forward to getting off the server so they can start their mid-split, their mid-season holiday at this stage.
Yep, not in
Drake
Iceland.
will go the way. Not in Iceland. It will not be in Iceland. We can take another look at the fight. This was just Jwei going a little overzealous when the rest of the team was not ready to follow.
Yeah, there was no steal potential here. There wasn't a flash on Meteor. You don't have a long range ability to potentially catch that one out. So I was kind of surprised that they were going to go for that. Typically in that sort of situation, if you want to find a comeback play, everyone goes in on the same time. And you just try to blow the team up while they're still doing Baron. Instead, they wait too late, they go in piecemeal, and FPX says thank you.
Yeah, 13-4 on the scoreboard, 2 Drakes apiece is, hey, Zeka's going to get a tower, though, so things are looking up for BLG. That'll be a little bit of gold in their pockets. Only 9,000 gold behind now at the 23-minute mark.
Ooh, yeah, the Serpent's Fang coming out. This is a really nice one, especially against Sion, where you, even if he doesn't pop the Soul Furnace, it just reduces it right off the get-go. So he's not going to get a lot of damage on that. Soul Furnace actually hurts a lot. If you see the damage, but with the Serpent's Fang, it's not really gonna come to fruition, and FPX are just doing a straight push at this time.
Yeah, I mean, they're just gonna take objectives here and maybe just close out the game. Time to get onto these towers. In they go for the engage. It's a great ulti from Jwei, but there's just not enough damage to follow it up. Both supports go in and go down, and FPX continue the siege. Nice ulti, 2-man knock up, Doinb off to the back, but the fear from Tian. What a way to rejoin the roster with a performance like this. BiuBiu tried to get onto Lwx, but he just doesn't have the damage. And now Tian, he's got a little bit deep on this one, but he's pretty damn tanky. I don't think Zeka has the damage to finish him up. Used as a stopwatch to keep himself alive. Now Doinb trying to finish these kills. Nuguri's going to go down as well. Oh my days. FPX actually can't end the game because they trolled too hard.
Lwx went into the fountain, gave over a massive bounty to the enemy team, and BLG survived to fight another day. I think that fight was actually looking pretty well for BLG. The trade wasn't too bad. TP coming in from Zeka, and I actually don't mind him going the wrong way. It's probably for the best.
Zeka's gonna get chased down now. Meteor trying to close the gap. BiuBiu TP's in. Doinb's in a bit of trouble here because the robot comes through, but Crisp has arrived and Zeka's just gonna get knocked up. I don't think Doinb has any damage available though. Oh, yeah, he does. Goodbye, Zeka. See you later, buddy. Meteor's gonna go down to the Gravity Storm. That's gonna be 2 for Doinb. Make it a 3rd. Why not? Crisp will have one for himself. A little bit of a bonus off the back of the play. And now BiuBiu, he will fall. And well, what looked like a good play for BLG turn into a double kill for Crisp. The cow getting a bit of the credit.
Yeah, that was a 3v4 that FPX just won there. BLG trying to overchase, but that choke funnel was really nice. And now aiming, trying to get the job done himself.
Oh no. He wants to do it, but Tian knows there's nothing in the tank for aiming. That's going to be game. That's going to be a 2-0 in favor of FPX. A dominant performance. This is exactly what we needed to see as they make their way to playoffs. We'll have a little bit of a scrap as Tian just tries to end the game alongside Chris. Not again, say the support in jungle. FPX take a 2-0.
Congrats. Blew their summoners on him, and he was able to gallop out there alive. That just wasted so much time, and once again he was on point ganking the mid lane. I think that's the most important thing that we can take away from Tian is he has that razor focus onto the mid lane. He will gank over and over again for Doinb as they did in the past and just try to set him up with lane priorities in the side lane. I think that's the key thing here. Even though Doinb himself didn't make the roams every single time, it's just the pressure that you have knowing that the enemy can always bring an extra member, especially into your top, into your bot, that really just stagnates teams. Teams are very afraid to make plays in that sort of situation, and that's sort of the Tian effect that we're looking for.
Yeah, being able to be that kind of facilitator for the team. We saw it in game 1 on the top side, where he just ganked over and over for Nuguri. Game 2 does the same thing for Doinb to get his mid lane ahead. So I think this is a good win coming out for FPX and a strong performance. The only question for me is, like, can they do other things? Because this was 2 games of the exact same draft back-to-back here from FPX, aside from the support swap. But realistically, like, Rell versus Alistar, the identity is not that different, let's be honest. So no, I feel like compositionally, this was kind of the same comp twice in a row. So the question for me moving into playoffs for FPX is, what else have you got in the tank? What else have you got available?
Yeah, FPX, this split has been really interesting because I think this is their most teamfight heavy split that they've ever played. They have all in on just understanding that this is just a Drake meta and you have to constantly be in 5v5. So I think that they have shown a lot of gains here, and I think this is going to be the big test for Nuguri. Nuguri, you know, when he was on the championship teams, he has been known for getting in on the right time with his teleports, being able to use things like the cannon to great effect, and especially his Gragas was really fun to see at the start of a split. And when FPX finally reached playoffs, I think that's what they're going to be tried on. Was this split a successful split, bringing Nuguri onto the team? Can you actually make those flanks? Can you make those front-to-back team fights work a little bit smoother than they were in 2020?
Yeah, that'll be the question. Look at the damage out of Doinb, by the way. Like, pretty much double anyone else aside from Nuguri there. Really, really fantastic. And as you say, Tian really setting Doinb up across the course of this game, making sure that Doinb can have a great performance. But I like this Viktor pick for Doinb. It's something that he's pulled out quite a few times across the course of this split. This is now, well, Rumble was his most played. It's now tied with Viktor across the course of this split after these 2 extra games today. So feels like Doinb has found this new pick this split that, sure, he's played Viktor in the past. It's never really been like the go-to. Not that many mid laners in the LPL are having Viktor as a go-to right now. It feels like Doinb is.
Yeah, that's been sort of the question about Doinb, is that he does play a very select set of champions. He will dabble in some here and there in control mages, but Viktor is pretty much the only control mage he plays, and Zoe has always been sort of missing from his lineup. He doesn't really go for the champion. So I think what we're going to see is teams try to exploit that one and try to force him into positions where he's kind of compromising for Lwx. He's not going to have a complete team fight comp and force FPX to play on a timer. That has been sort of the traditional way to go up against FPX, and you're going to see teams like EDG that are all in on Viper hypercarry teamfight try to go down that route with them. And I think RNG are going to do very similar things against the FPX matchup. So those are going to be their major hurdles. So far, this is a much cleaner early game. I think they have passed sort of like the first bridge into their journey of relevance, and Nuguri is having a rebound. Tian is actually showing up with that high KDA at 15-minute gameplay that we expect out of him. So they are on track, but there's just not enough data points for us right now. There's only one game where we've seen on Tian coming back after Beituan's stint. We'll see if that can actually continue.
That's the big thing for me. It's like, yes, FPX look great today, but it is BLG that they beat, right? This is a team that has been on a downswing towards the end of the split as well. This is not like peak BLG from this year. This is a struggling BLG. So yes, FPX look very good today. I don't want to take that away from them, but there is a bit of a caveat there, and we have to wonder, if this can be consistent. And as we said before as well, if they could do this on multiple compositions, we'll have to wait and see as playoffs comes. But importantly for FPX, a huge sigh of relief for the FPX fan base, as they do guarantee that at minimum,
Tian's
they make it past the first round of playoffs.
I'm sorry. I thought you were going to talk about something else. Completely off course.
No. Well, that too.
That too. Okay.
Zero keyboard cracking at all today, which is really, really positive for FPX.
Yeah, that was a big question that chat was asking. I guess all of your questions have been put to rest right there. If you've just watched that game, Tian 100% still focuses Doinb's lane over any other.
Yeah, feels good. Feels good for FPX coming out of this win, and feels good that they managed to get themselves guaranteed into the second round of playoffs from their bye. But on the other side, from BLG, let's kind of do similar to what we did in the first series of the day. Let's do a bit of a recap on BLG, because I don't think that this split was like, this was not a total disaster. They got 11th, which is not, you know, they weren't bottom 4 or anything like that. It was a middling performance, right? I feel like we could have seen more. I wanted to see more out of this team, but it could have been worse.
That's not exactly what you want to hear of your BLG. We have to talk about the history of BLG, because I think this goes towards their development. They peaked when they had Kuro on the roster along with Meteor. They were never really competitive against the rest of the top 4, but they got there. Unfortunately, after 2 years of switching out Fofo and Zeka, I think this is a bit of a backslide, a bit disappointing, and I would not be surprised to find that they're going to retool their roster, especially in the support and top lane position, once more in the summer split.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens in summer for BLG. But our MVP for game number 2 of the series was Tian in the end. 2 games, 2 MVPs, and that feels good for Tian coming back into the roster. And those 2 MVPs are his only MVPs of the whole split as well. Feels like he's had this triumphant return to the LPL. 2 incredible performances on Hecarim. Had an insane KDA by the end of it. Really, really, really impressive performance from him. And it feels good to see him back and playing so well.
It definitely does. It's been a long time since we could say that about Tian. I think his 2020 and his earlier split were just kind of torturous to watch. This is a player that sort of fell out of the meta once the meta went more towards carry junglers and heavy farming. This was a guy that actually sacrificed a lot of his farm for kills in the early phases of the game. So it's good to see him finally catch up into a comfortable space on the meta. As we've seen this series, he does a lot of level 3 ganks. I think that's what we're going to be definitely watching out. I expect him, if he's on the Lilia or the Hecarim, they're going to do Raptors, Red, and then just show up mid lane. That seems like the go-to pathing for Tian so far. And maybe that's his sort of answer to the heavy farm style that the rest of the junglers have adopted.
Yeah, look, I'm down. I'm totally okay with that. I love teams that just want to fight. So let's mix up the meta a little bit, FPX. I'm hoping that we get to see more of that kind of style. But that'll be the question as we move towards playoffs and try to set Doinb up specifically. Because I feel like that's one of the big things about FPX is when you can set Doinb up, he can transfer that lead to the other lanes. But enough about that. We're going to move over to the stage because once again, we have a winner's interview. So I'm going to kick it back over to Wendy.